Solo Sokoa thinks you should acknowledge him. And John Cena shows up live in Canada to tell you his time is up. But apparently, Tippy time is now. This is the Dangerous Jobbers Podcast.
People have been asking me, why, Eddie, why?
I'm better than you. My eyes are red. I was in the back smoking a joint with Van Damme.
All right, we are at the Money in the Bank review. I'm your boy, Stevie Jobber.
And I'm your boy, Dangerous Duke.
Welcome back to the Dangerous Jobbers Podcast, man. We got a lot to get to. A lot of things happened in a night of 5 matches. And there's a lot of mixed opinions. To
say the least.
A lot of heartbreaks, a lot of, the internet is up in arms.
Mm-hmm.
And we will get to all of it, but first I just want to say, how do you guys feel about the intro? We've been doing these intros, I feel like, kind of all year now. And if you like the intros, maybe give us a like. I mean, to show, just the group activity, just give us a like right now if you think the intros we should be sticking with the intros, Just an easy way to give us some feedback, maybe some other stuff. Help us out. I want to dive right into it because we've got a lot to talk about. First thing, when the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, we had a lot of impressive people. We had a lot of good names that had a lot of chips on their shoulders, a lot of somethings to prove, a lot of highlights of the night, right? We had Carmelo Hayes out there. We had Andrade. We had Jay Uso. We had Chatty Gable doing his thing. We also had Drew McIntyre, who coincidentally ends up winning this match. But let's talk about the match first, because I feel like the opinions on who won and what happened throughout the night will take us down the road. So let's first talk about just the match. How did you feel about the match? Was it better than the women's match? Who was your highlight guy? What was impressive? What are your thoughts, dude?
The match itself was very solid. As far as like cohesiveness and chemistry in the match, I feel like, certain people gelled very well with the others, like Carmelo and Andrade. They gelled very well with each other. Then you got LA Knight and Jay. They gelled very well with each other. So chemistry wise, I say it was there. Spot wise, I would say it was definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
MVPs of the match for me, believe it or not, I'm gonna go Andrade and Carmelo.
Andrade and Carmelo?
Yeah, and for that being Melo's first Money in the Bank match, I believe might be his first ladder match. No. Either way, it's his first ladder match on the main roster, and he showed out. He showed that the moniker works, the moniker sticks. He is him.
Yeah,
and he did his thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like, hearing you talk about Carmelo, it does make me think this was an important match to him? Now that you say that, it is his first Money in the Bank. It's his first, probably the first. Really, it's probably his first big one since joining main roster, right? Money in the Bank.
Yeah, this is his most important match since joining the main roster, and he showed very much why he needs to be main roster, why he needs to be featured. Even if he's not talking, the dude's doing amazing things in the ring, and I think this match only rose his stock with his ability to hit certain moves like that. I believe he hit Andrade hit like a inverted or reverse Spanish fly on him off the top rope.
Yeah, he hit a Spanish fly on him. I think credit to those being your two guys. I think they had probably the best two highlight spots of that match. That Spanish fly, and then the sunset powerbomb. Sunset flip powerbomb all from the one side of the ladder to the other, onto the piece of ladder that was
the bridging ladder.
The bridging ladder. What a crazy spot. I don't think it was the craziest ladder spot of the night, but definitely a wild spot in that match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you got it right on the money. Those were the two guys for me that were just really impressive. Um, do you want to talk about Jay Uso in the finish almost being the guy and Chad almost being the guy? I do want to point out Chad doing that German suplex to a ladder onto somebody.
Yeah,
That was a great spot too. I don't want to overlook that.
yeah. I feel like they did significantly well showcasing certain people
Hmm.
their moment, like in the sun during the match. Like Andrade and Melo got to have theirs. Um, Chad Gable suplexing the ladder was kind of funny.
Hmm.
He kind
That
of
was a good spot.
like he went on a suplexing spree and then out of nowhere just decided, you know what? Let me suplex this ladder.
Hmm.
The ladder can get it too. Um, yeah, I think it was great. I have very little complaints as far as how the match was choreographed and how the match went down. I feel like they did very well. Whoever
Yeah.
produced this match, job well done. Now, the moment where Jay's at the top of the ladder, he's got the thing in his hand, and then McIntyre comes in, swoops it at the last second. Way to tug at the heartstrings, man. That's all I got to say. And before we go any further into the pay-per-view, I'm just gonna say, when I seen that he won, I was just hoping that they did something right by it. I'm hoping that it made sense somewhere, and I'm just gonna leave it there before we go anywhere else on it.
Yeah, I think that was gonna be my next question anyway, was just what were you thinking at that point in the night when you see him win and you're like, oh, they gave it to Drew,
My,
you
my
know?
thoughts my thoughts were, let's make it significant, let's make it make sense, and let's hope for the best.
Yeah. And well, you know what? Considering we got a lot to go to, I think let's leave it there because anything after this, I think we
But
get into those like five,
plus
ten
if
minute talks.
plus if you didn't watch it, this would be the perfect time for you to stick around and
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, this would be a perfect time. Okay, so following that, we have our first championship match, the Intercontinental Championship. And I think Sami Zayn proved us both to be wrong in this scenario. I don't remember what our predictions were, but I'm pretty sure uh at least I was not
Yes,
on the
yes.
side of Sami Zayn for this, even though it is in Canada, which in retrospect, of course, right? But Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. Um, thoughts on Sami Zayn retaining, and then I think we'll talk about the match.
I didn't see the purpose for it,
Hmm.
but looking later into the show, I mean, I guess I kind of did, but I don't think Sammy needed to keep the title by any means.
Yeah, I don't think Sammy needed the win. I was very much prepared for him to pass it along, but I guess they don't have anything for Sammy, so I guess that's where it kind of ended. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's not like it's not like they both wouldn't still be in the intercontinental scene anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm at on it too. It's like, damn it, did he really need a win? You kind of just derailed this guy's momentum a little bit, but
Hmm.
like you said, it's not like it's gonna be the last time he fights for the title. It's not gonna be the last time they go at it. This could probably go to SummerSlam if we're being completely honest with each other.
And if he keeps
So
becoming a menace too.
yeah, yeah. My gripe was that he just took his first L. That
Yeah.
was that was my own, and clean too. So that's probably
Yeah.
my only gripe. But I'm sure Triple H has a long-term plan for this.
And then as far as the match goes, it just struck me odd that like towards the end there, they didn't have some there I just felt like there was a lack of story there towards the end. Normally, Triple H and whoever's producing the matches in the back will come up with some sort of story that makes it okay if we're up against this kind of equal powers dynamic. Normally, if it seems like these are two people that are both a little too big to fail, but
It
there's
did
one
kind of
decisive winner, they kind of paint the ending in a way, right?
it
Or
did
they'll
it
paint the story of the match in a way.
yeah, I was gonna say it did kind of feel like they were grasping for straws a little bit towards the end there.
Yeah, at the end, it just seemed like Sammy got the best of him, and I don't think that. I honestly don't think that's the best. I think you should have dressed it up for Breaker. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of being somehow, and it's weird that I'm saying this. And please feel free to comment if you feel differently. But it makes me feel like Braun is equal to the champion, which I feel like doesn't really do him any favors. I feel like we
Exactly.
kind of felt like he was better than the champion going in. So
Hmm.
leaving feel like they were equals is almost to his detriment. But yeah, like you said, hopefully Triple H has got a plan. I just thought normally there's this like a wounded leg that they work the whole match, or there's just some sort of like there's some sort of way to dress it up
Hmm.
where it doesn't look like the guy just lost clean because the champ was better that day.
Yeah.
It is weird. It is weird.
It was definitely an odd spot towards the end there.
Yeah. And speaking of odd spots, the very next spot on the show, um, out of nowhere, we get introduced to Trish Stratus, but I do think they said Trish Stratus was
The
the
host.
host of the show. Trish Stratus comes out. We get our Trish Stratus host spot, and she introduces John Cena, which on any other typical night, that's a great spot, I guess, for the host to not be directly involved, but still have something to do with the show.
Hmm.
So she introduced John Cena. John comes out there, he talks about the crowd, and one of the first things you notice right away is the towel spot, the towel in the camera saying, um, your time is up, the last time is now.
Hmm.
Or just the last time is now, I think. I
Yeah,
don't think they put the whole thing on it.
the last time is now.
The last time is now.
Mm.
And I went, oh, take me through what you were feeling when he gave you the retirement bomb news. I thought it was, thank goodness it wasn't just that day. I'm glad that they had an entire rollout about it. But
Yeah,
take me
yeah.
through what you were going through emotionally, just hearing John be like, there's this is it, and there's gonna be a lot of incredible lasts we're now gonna get to have together.
Yeah. So Trish Stratus introduces him, he comes out, the trumpets blaring and everything. And then he flashes the towel at the camera, and I was like, oh God, is it happening now?
Mm-hmm.
Like literally just right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he talks to the crowd for a quick second, then says he's announcing his retirement. And I was like, no, they're not doing it this way. I was like, they can't do it this way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give the man at least a match or something. And then, they let him do the rollout of how it's going to happen. Royal Rumble is going to be his last. Chamber Mania, they're all going to be his last. And then he doubled up and said it's from all of 2025, January to December. He's just going to work the whole year. And it was like, damn, wait. So maybe John learned a little bit from Taker. Like, he wants to do this on his terms. He doesn't want to just go out when he can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he could still do it a little bit, maybe not to the ability of 2013, 2012 John, but he can still give us like 30 dates and still be somewhat more agile, somewhat more, still have the ability pretty much. And
Yeah.
that kind of made me feel good to see. It's like, all right, so we're getting some significant moments here. We're gonna get another Rumble. We're gonna get another Mania. Not gonna lie, when I first seen it, I was like, damn. if John retires right here, we can at least say we were at a Mania that John was at.
We
Like,
can say that.
I mean, I kind of wanted that little nugget in my pocket, but it's
Mhm.
still nice to see him do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a roller coaster, bro. It really is.
Man. Yeah, and he did say he was having dates all the way into December, so I wonder
Mm-hmm.
if they'll change the schedule around because that'll probably be his last pay-per-view. You know, I got to think I mean, I don't know if he'll play it out to the very last WWE episode of Raw that year or what have you that year, but
Well, here, let's on the fly real quick,
mhm.
since we're talking about John, and my phone's right here. I can pull up the calendar relatively quickly. December 2025. So that means the last episode of Raw will be. Damn, I was close. December 29th.
29th, man.
December 29th, 2025. That'll be the last time we see John Cena competing in a ring.
Well, we got a while. We got a while to enjoy it.
We got it.
He's probably gonna be taking the rest of the year. I'd imagine now we're at the beginning of July. By the way, anybody that's been a long time fan, Duke's birthday has just passed. Um, and I was just in Virginia celebrating my father's. They're like only days apart. Um, so happy birthday to Duke.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I'd imagine he'd be taking July through this December to get ready and fulfill whatever
Yeah.
obligations he has left so that he can give us a year worth of John Cena. Because I'll tell you this, he looked like pre last run Undertaker after he finished that speech, after he gave his
Mm-hmm.
promo and it told us his rollout, he did kind of look like a latter years John Cena. You know, he's
I
gonna need
feel
to get a
like
little bulkier, a little more, some DDP yoga in him. But I'd imagine he'd be taking the rest of the year, and
mm-hmm.
then Royal Rumble will probably be the start of his final run.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think he may have one match this year, probably on a Monday Night Raw, because John's competed on every Monday Night Raw, at least one Monday Night Raw every year.
And he hasn't yet.
Since he started,
Yeah.
and he hasn't this year. So I feel like he could get one in, or he's competed on like one show every year.
Yeah,
And
and he hasn't done his one.
Yeah, we can't count Mania because that wasn't a match for him. So yeah, I think he's got to get at least one in somewhere.
Well, everything matters. And we've been talking about who that fourth man might be for War Games. Should they need a fourth for the battle for the bloodline?
Yeah, in case a Roman or a Jimmy doesn't pop up.
And there was somebody that took a great loss to Solo Sikoa that may have changed the dynamic of where his career was headed.
And that could be an easy win for the good guys, considering John hasn't had a win in some time.
And he could definitely come out last or second to last to preserve everything that he actually has to do in the match. That's a match where a lot of people can do a lot of the other work, and then you can do maybe a couple big spots, and
he could do he could do what Randy did last year. Literally what Randy did last year.
So he could get away with it. But beyond the fantasy booking and the emotional stuff of it, we'll end on just who are some of the people, because we got 1 year. We got 1 year of John Cena left to enjoy. Who do you think should put him away? Who are some of the people you think he needs to step in front of this last year? Because it's the last shot he got.
You know my answer to this. Pretty sure everybody knows my answer to this. We need the final dance, man. We need John. We need John and Randy one more time. Just one more time. I don't care if it's on a Monday Night Raw, if it's on a SmackDown, if it's on a NXT show. I don't care where it is. We need John and Randy one more time. And I was actually fantasy booking in my head a little bit, a pipe dream that would never, ever, ever, ever happen. But if I say it'll never happen, it may just happen. What if by some stroke of miracle, we get John and Randy the tag team champions for like half a month or for like a month and a half?
You know what? I wouldn't be opposed to, and they've done this. Maybe it would be old, but it's not unlike Triple H to pull out some old tricks. I wouldn't mind the old Cena HBK angle, or who else had uh, that dynamic where they're that Chris Jericho AJ. You remember these, like,
Yeah.
they're a tag team, but they're really only a great tag team for the amount of time it takes them to turn on each other. You know what I mean?
And that's because that's the way I was thinking it. It's like it would have been perfect if Theory and Waller were still the tag champs.
It would have
Because, you know, Theory and John got history. So they start messing with John, start jumping John.
been.
John calls somebody for backup. That backup just so happens to be Randy, and then tag title match on the line, and then they get it, wind up losing it eventually, and then that leads to their match that they have eventually one-on-one with each other.
Yeah. I could even see it being, I could almost see it being there probably the last pay-per-view. I mean, because you could do that run where they're a tag team, and then maybe Survivor Series, right? Survivor Series is what, like November
Yeah.
or November? Yeah. Survivor Series can be November. He can turn on them at November. They can lose the belts, and then Randy can do a big monologue about, I had this dream of being the legend killer one more time and killing the biggest legend of them all.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do me this service? You know what I mean?
Bring back the punt kick.
You are retiring next month. That is the last John Cena pay-per-view. I want to be the guy to put John Cena out
Mm-hmm.
at his very last PLE. You know what I mean? I could see it. All right, we got to move on. We're spending too much time.
It's okay. We got 2 matches left. That's
yeah. The people love it though. The people love it. I don't know. The World Heavyweight Championship. In this, this has got to be the weirdest angle I've seen thus far. But in the World Heavyweight Championship match, we have Damian Priest versus Seth freaking Rollins. And the women were the last match, right?
No, the 6-man tag. Yeah.
Oh,
so
the
we have
6-man
three
is
matches.
okay. So we got 3 matches left. World Heavyweight Championship match. The only credit I really can give Triple H before we get into this, because I'll be honest, I don't have many good things to say, is that the only bail I can shoot him is that if he knows there's a result that is either predictable or that we generally won't be okay with or won't feel the best about, he does make sure to put it at a spot in the card where it's not the lasting memory we're gonna have. So putting it dead set in the middle may be the best place for it, because to still watch the pay-per-view after that and know that better things are ahead, this might have been the best place to put it. That being said, the match, I'll start there and then I'll hand it to you for the finish. But the match itself didn't feel great. The chemistry didn't feel amazing. not all the spots landed the way that you wanted them to. And you could tell by the end of the match that I don't even think Damien was all of that impressed by the work that they did. I feel like even he was a little bit frustrated, even though he comes out on top. It did look noticeable that he wasn't feeling the greatest about how that went. And this is a very big match for him. This is Seth Rollins, and it kind of felt going into it like he bit off more than he could chew. And for the match before the shenanigans to have not been very cohesive, even that new stomp Seth had pulled out, I could have looked a little bit better. You know what I mean? It didn't, you almost had to guess that that's what he was doing. It just didn't come across as great as it should have been going into it. And then you get the aftermath of Drew McIntyre cashing in as he predicted. And however that goes.
This is why you cannot rush some things and then be late on other things. And I'll explain. I'll go into further detail. You said the match didn't feel great. The chemistry just wasn't there. It's because they rushed the hell out of this story. This has only been 2 weeks. Literally 2 weeks. Like,
yeah.
Seth showed up. The challenge was thrown out. The next week, they had the match to see if Judgment Day would be barred from ringside, and then you got the pay-per-view. You rushed it. And if you were going to rush it, you could have just let Priest take the month off and then had something else take this match's spot. Like Dom and Liv are the hottest thing right now on Monday Night Raw. You could have had Liv have a title match with somebody. You could have had where Dom was out there being a deciding factor again. You could have you could have did anything else if it was going to feel like this. Now, for you to rush this story to then have a match where they haven't really had a chance to build a match, you're kind of just going out there on a hope and a prayer that Seth is the best guy to work with in the company and can never have a bad match. Not to say that this match was bad, but it wasn't very good. And then, you got your ending where obviously we know Drew won Money in the Bank, cashed it in. And right off the bat, cashing the Money in the Bank briefcase in so early, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot if you don't execute it the right way. And they didn't execute it the right way because, then CM Punk comes out, thwarts the cash in, beats the hell out of Drew. And all this just to, I guess, give Damien a way to win again and then add more fire to the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre feud, which really didn't need any more adding. You already had a forest fire and you just started throwing more gasoline on the forest fire. You didn't need that. And then, the little altercation with him and Seth afterwards, staring at each other, giving each other an intense stare down. He's already in one feud with somebody, and now you're already planting seeds for another feud. Can we at least get through this one first? Like,
yeah,
you have a guy with more stuff on his plate than the actual champion.
It's getting to a weird place where you almost can't focus on what's going on with Damien. And it's not. I'll say it again, just like I said before. It's just not doing. Just like with Braun, it's just not doing any favors to go about it the way we're going about it, as far as the way we put the matches together. Because on top of them trying to play catch up to one another and the spots not being the greatest, especially the spot at the end where we thought it was over, was very confusing because
And that's what I meant. Like, you can't rush some things and then be late for other things, because obviously Priest didn't kick out.
Definitely did not kick out.
We know he didn't kick out, and we know he wasn't supposed to kick out. The music was supposed to hit during the count. So you rushed this feud, you rushed this match, and then you were late on the thing that was supposed to save the match. So who's going to take the blame for that? It's not going to be the guy in the production truck. It's going to be Priest, and it's going to be Seth. They're going to take the blame for that, and they shouldn't, because it's not their fault. It just sucks that in a match that was rushed and forced and all these other things, and a match that wasn't very good to begin with, now you have that doo-doo stain on top of it, to put it blatantly.
And to just to close out, I gotta think, with Punk coming down and cashing in and the Money in the Bank going wrong, I gotta think that, man, it is a misuse. And I thought of this literally as that segment was going off. And I see more people echoing that today before we hopped on. I just see it as a misuse of the men's Money in the Bank altogether, because we
Yes.
already thought this match should be between two people. A lot of the Money in the Banks are built to be between two people. Like, everyone's a candidate, but really there's only two
Viable
actual
options.
viable options. And the viable options, to wrap all of that into a bow, were Jey Uso and LA Knight. Those were the two picks. Throwing Drew in there was just not a great booking idea in retrospect, because Drew getting in there, winning the Money in the Bank, cashing it in the same night to lose, to push maybe a story that could have been done without the Money in the Bank, is kind of a misuse of a Money in the Bank. You think about, even had they had Drew lose, had they had Drew lose the Money in the Bank ladder match, we have Jey Uso, we have LA Knight, and we can implement that at an instant's notice to come up with a better story immediately, even if we did the same play without, the CM Punk shenanigans at the end. And there was just a different spot that showed that they, it would have still generated a better response, even if Drew won per se. Having Drew cash in the same night does no favors for you, because it could have given you a chance to have Damian have an amazing match where he just beat Seth clean. And you could write one of those, perfect timing spots where Damian just pulled it off because somebody was a second too late on whatever move, or they could have dressed it up nicely for Damian to be taken seriously as a world champion. And then, even then, you could have McIntyre come out the next night or after that match during the celebration to claymore him and try and get the win, and then Punk come in. You didn't need it to happen this way. And it feels like, only because you chose to have it this way, it was a disaster.
Yeah. Like, it's normally something that you use throughout the year as a tool, and now you don't have that extra tool anymore. Everything is going to be pretty much cut and dry. Like, all right, here's the match for a number one contender. Here's your number one contender. We don't have to worry about anybody else now. You don't have that added tool of, like, all right, well, if this goes this way, we can just always bring him in, cash it in, do it that way, and, kind of save ourselves. The Money in the Bank briefcase is your get out of jail free card, in a sense, and you don't really have that anymore.
And you know what, man? You got to think, and I'll leave after this. You got to think, Drew's character doesn't even really need a reason to want the world title anymore. He doesn't need to earn the shot anymore. His whole character is being pissed off that he keeps getting cost shots. Why didn't you have Punk either stop him from winning Money in the Bank, which would have been a best case scenario for everyone? I think that's what everyone thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Punk would interfere, he wouldn't win, we would get a Money in the Bank winner that could strike at any moment. Because Jay's not going to ask for a match, and LA Knight is certainly not going to ask for a match. He's going to wait for an opportunity. You could have either done that, or if anything, had a Money in the Bank winner be LA Knight or Jay. And then because Drew didn't win, whether it was via CM Punk or not, he's pissed off that he even had to earn it. So why doesn't he enter himself into the match, or not enter himself into the match, but why doesn't he come out during the celebration or come out at the climax of the match to DQ it, saving everyone the is he better than or is he not better than scenario, and just being like, I'm not waiting no more. Goes right up to Damian and just starts Claymoreing everybody, and right before he lays the finishing blow on the Damian, CM Punk shows up cleared. Either way, you know what I mean? This could have been done in a way where you don't lose the Money in the Bank the night that you get it, pushing the story that you could have done without it. You know what I mean? It just feels like a waste of time.
It is. It was essentially a waste of a match. It was a waste of a whole object. It was a waste of one of the more exciting things wrestling fans have throughout the year.
That's my only gripe. That's my thing. That's my thing about it, because it just ruins the aesthetic of the whole pay-per-view. But moving on to a way better note than the sour note we're leaving off on. The women's Money in the Bank follows that up, and is probably one of the better women's Money in the Bank matches, at least as far as how fluently it went and all of that good stuff. So we start with having Naomi, having Io Sky, having Naomi, Io Sky, Tiffany Stratton, having, who else was in this match? God darn it. Zoe Stark,
Lyra
Valkyria,
and
having
Chelsea Green.
And Chelsea Green. And everyone wanting it to be either Chelsea or Tiffany. I thought, aside from that aside from that really gnarly spot where Zoe Stark tried to do that, I don't even know what you would call it,
dude.
But that whatever flip she did over the rope and banged her, I'm so sure she banged her head on that ladder. I don't know how she kept going.
And then the Lyra botch before that too, trying to do the top turnbuckle Hurricane Rana. Dude, the first 5 minutes of that match, Michael Cole said it best, was a damn car wreck.
They started rough.
They did. I'm not gonna lie. They set my expectations really low in that first 5 minutes. As I'm watching it, I'm like, this shit's gonna suck.
And then to the latter part, they really started to show out. So thank God they picked it up. But I will say at the end, and it's not. I think that's a momentum carryover. You know what I'm saying? There was just so much going wrong.
They did. They got it together.
They had to work through that.
They managed to turn chicken shit into chicken salad, as Brock Lesnar would say.
Yeah, and they had some amazing spots. Do you have the MVP?
Oh God, I mean the MVP for me, spots aside, as far as like consistency throughout the entire match, I don't care what anyone says. I'm giving it to Naomi. Naomi was like the glue for that entire match. Like when everyone had an inconsistent moment, Naomi was there to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And a close second, not even just because of the winning result, but Tiffany Stratton did great too. she had some good moments. EO's gonna be EO in these matches, you know. Rest in peace, Zoe Stark.
Yeah. I think
But it was just crazy.
to add on to that, I think that was my craziest spot of the night. The float over powerbomb spot Andrade did was great, but I mean, seeing that because it damn near was a pile driver.
It was like
It damn near was a pile driver onto the bridging ladder. I
you know what it kind of
it
looked
was
like?
like a shell shock, but it wasn't. I forget what the actual name that they call
It
the shell
looked
shock
like
is.
a bonsai drop. Like not a
Like a
bonsai drop,
bonsai
but
drop.
not a bonsai drop.
What was it called?
The move when you're like this and the person's on your shoulders.
Yes, the
and then you
burning
grab.
hammer. Is it burning hammer? That's not the burning hammer, is it?
No, it's not. It's not burning hammer.
Oh my god, we'll figure it out in post. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Rikishi
It's
usually
the move.
finish
Yeah,
is
Rikishi
that,
used to do it. It looked like this, and then he just grab him and bring him down.
but it was one of the craziest spots I've seen as far as the look of it. And credits is always start after taking the bump he took earlier, missing to have to go into that spot after all the other stuff she had to run around and do that match. That was a
Emotional
great
damage.
spot, just a fantastic spot, and everyone seemed to have gotten off in this match.
Yeah, and then Lyra taking the I believe it was Lyra Valkyria. She took that bump to the spine of the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Oh
Lyra, right?
man, that was a great spot too.
Yeah, that hurt my
Yeah,
back. I
yeah, it
woke
was
up
a
the next
great
day with
spot.
lower back pain.
That was a great spot. That spot, and then of course we got to talk about Tiffany falling off the not Tiffany,
Chelsea
Tiffany making Chelsea fall off the ladder for that table spot, and she just took it so beautifully.
learned from
She
her
could,
hubby.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a lot of people's MVPs too, because she had a lot
Yeah,
of the personality of the match, and of course she's usually comic relief, but in these high stakes matches, that's always a real standout.
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. For a night that was kind of meh for the most part, and then for a match that started like a car wreck that ended up
Hmm.
turning out pretty good, it was a nice. I will say, I will give Triple H credit here. It was a nice breath of fresh air, a nice change of pace that you took somebody who's normally not the center of attention in a match, normally not the MVP in anybody's match,
Hmm.
and you kind of went the different route with it and kind of made her relevant.
Hmm.
Like you saw that fans were kind of pulling for her, that fans kind of wanted her to have a moment, and you put the focus on her for a little brief period of time, kind of like what he did with LA Knight last year.
Hmm.
So I feel like that, even though she didn't win, Chelsea Green won.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like everything Chelsea Green needed to get out of that match, she got.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a great part of the Triple H era is that you don't lose in your hometown often, if we can help it. And also that if you have natural momentum, he doesn't shy away from it.
Yeah, he will acknowledge it.
Yeah, he won't ride with it and make you champion like in some other places that just catch on to whoever's hot and put a belt on them. But he'll at least start a path for you. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, this person's taking off. Let's figure out how we get them where I need them to be to achieve
Before
what
I
the
do,
fans want for them. I
before
feel
I
like
green light it.
some of that is Roman too, because I feel like that kind of was the effect of, and for as much as Tony Khan doesn't learn, that kind of was one of Vince's first really big new era mistakes. Is that
Mm-hmm.
everyone got behind Roman and then they kind of strapped rocket on Roman, and we were like, whoa, 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 he didn't earn it. You know what I mean? We just
Yeah, like
really
we.
like the guy right now,
Mm-hmm.
but this is not what we asked for, and then we turned on him. I feel like Triple H learned from that and was like, all right, who do they like? How do we get them where they need to be in an appropriate amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of getting people where they need to be in an appropriate amount of time, I think we're at the main event with
Yeah.
a maybe 15 minutes to get this off before we hit an hour.
I feel like we can get it off. We can
I
get it
feel like
done.
we can get it off. So the bloodline, the new bloodline, chose its three, leaving Tongaloa as the manager, Tama Tonga, the right hand man, and Jacob Fatu, the enforcer, the Samoan
Called
werewolf,
it. I called that.
and of course, the tribal chief, Solo Sokoa. Mhm.
Yeah,
Uh,
with the quotations.
with the quotations, goes up against Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens in what was a smash. I can say this, and then I'm gonna hand it to Duke. I'm gonna let you tell the story of it, and then we'll give our final thoughts on the pay per view and get out of here. I'll tell you this story. Going into it, like I said, I was down in VA for this pay per view, celebrate my dad's birthday. My dad asked me, "What do you think they're gonna do for the match? You know, how do you think they're gonna go about it? Like, what's the game plan?" And I said, "Wind up Jacob Fatu and let him go.
Yeah.
That's the plan. There's no, there's no for anyone confused on how this is about to go. They're gonna let Fatu loose, and then they're gonna win. That's how this is gonna go." And I I I pretty much feel like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so that pretty much is what happened. They just, you know, they wound up the Tasmanian Devil, sat him in the ring, and just said, "Have fun,
Mm-hmm.
start bouncing off of things." And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much essentially what he did. He had some moments in this match that were actually, for all intents and purposes, that were pretty funny, and
Mm-hmm.
they weren't meant to be funny. To the fan who hasn't watched Jacob Fatu before, it probably didn't look funny. It probably looked really serious. But to
Mm-hmm.
the people who know Jacob Fatu and like have seen his matches, it was funny in the sense of like, yeah, this is what he does. Like,
This is kind of what he does.
this is nothing new. So I mean, it was funny, but I mean that in like the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as the match goes on, he's in there with Randy. Randy tries to, he hits him with that DDT off the ropes, does his little thing, goes to do the spin and stomp, and then he's already just standing up. Like, oh, you didn't
Wow
know?
face.
Like, this is what I do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't know about me?
Yeah, this is great, man. I think the perfect dynamic of this, looking at it before the match started, I did notice, you know, not only was it a lot for Solo because Solo's the youngest
Yeah, of everybody in this match by
of
far.
the crop, yeah, but for the bloodline overall, they're all in kind of this weird place where they definitely needed the win,
Mm-hmm.
but for other legitimate reasons other than storytelling, they all had a reason to be there with a chip on their shoulder. I felt like there was a lot to actually prove in the match. Solo being newly appointed the leader, Fatu's first PLE, first match, first showcase, and for people like us knowing that the game plan is going to be to give him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tama Tonga, who was the guy we were all waiting for to get here, and what he brings to the table, being the right hand man and being essentially a singles player for now. They all kind of had this chip on their shoulder of something to prove. But like everyone just played their role really, really well.
I will absolutely attest to that. They did phenomenal with knowing their role and executing their role the way it needs to be executed. Even the three men opposite of the bloodline who are not faction experienced in
Mm-hmm.
WWE. Like, I mean, they are, but they're not a team. They're not they're all single stars in their own respective rights. They just happen to be coinciding.
Mm-hmm.
And they all executed their roles very well. You know, Kevin Owens was going to be your wild horse in the match, and then you got Randy, who's your muscle, your experience, your X factor, and then Cody's obviously the face of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And they all executed that very well. Now, I will say this: the match itself was good, but not without its own hiccups in a sense.
Mm.
One of the hiccups actually coming from our boy Jacob. I don't know if anybody else caught this, but they did show the replay. But some people, they still missed the replays. I think he was going to hit Kevin with a spear or something. That spear through the barricade part.
Through the barricade, yeah.
And then he just happened to get Sunset flipped over the barricade and wound up kicking the doctor in the head.
Yeah.
And Graves' comments, "We need a damn doctor for the doctor."
Yeah, me and Dad had a good laugh about that. And it was like she got hit with an overhand right, but it was a foot. Foot.
It did. It looked like a mean UFC overhand, but instead it was just like a size 14 Samoan boot crashing right into your cranium.
Poor lady. Poor lady.
Somebody get a doctor for the doctor.
I felt them give me a high five. I'm sure that boot did not feel great.
Yeah. Who gave me a high five? You didn't get a high five, man.
Oh man, that was something.
We in Connecticut? No, we're in Canada.
But I thought we did. I thought they did a great job. Other than those few hiccups, few hiccups.
I do gotta address the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Tongaloa giving Kevin the low blow, and then on the first crack, if you watch the first one, he punched Kevin in the butt.
Yeah, he did.
Like he
hit
hit
all of
him
it
in the butt like this, and then he went for the second one and went too far and cracked his own brother instead. Like,
did you want to get saved or not? I mean, who do you want?
You missed the low blow not once but twice. You punch him in the butt, and then on the second one, you hit your own brother upside the cranium.
Square.
I think, but in Tongaloa's defense, I will say he might have been rocked from bouncing his head off at a commentary table.
For anyone that saw that, I did see him. Credit to him because it was flush. I mean,
like you heard that.
You couldn't have hit the table first, like better than
else. Nothing else hit the table but his head.
Slid perfectly, but you could see him. Even I noticed immediately. He started checking his fingers, and I was like, you kind of rocked him.
Yeah, it looked like when you knock down an NPC in Grand Theft Auto. That's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah. So credit to him. He might have been a little shaken, but that spot didn't go to greatest. I noticed that. I don't know if it was that Kevin was supposed to hold time up a little higher, and Tongalo was worried about hitting him the first time, so he short-ended it, and it ended up hitting him in the ass.
And then next thing you know, his brother just catches one right flush on the forehead.
But I knew immediately it hit Tama Tonga when he tried it the second time. So that was,
and you see the close-up replay, and Tama Tonga's face is just like, after he gets hit in the head.
That was great.
I'm upside down, and you gonna hit me in the head? You ain't shit.
But it's okay because that's why you have Fatu in there, to facilitate things and make sure no matter what goes wrong,
Fatu the savior.
This thing ends how it's supposed to end. And I will say that it is such a vital plus because there's no better ring general than Jacob Fatu.
On the bloodline.
On the bloodline. Yeah, maybe not in this match, but for the bloodline, Fatu is so great because a lot of him works on the fly.
Yeah.
So part of being naturally amazing is to work through the spots in the match that didn't really work well and make sure we get to where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And finishing the match, basically hand delivering the win to Solo Sikoa.
That whisper in the wind.
Which another great touch to be the guy to knock everyone out and then be like, all right, Solo, time to win. You know what I mean?
Like
So
he didn't need to get the pin for himself. He knew what needed to happen.
you know your role, man. You know your role.
As a good enforcer should.
As the final boss would say. You know your role. So he hand delivers the win to Solo. Where are you at on Solo's new take being acknowledge me?
Like am I acknowledging him?
And well, let's do a two-parter. How do you feel about him now going with the acknowledge me gimmick? And how do you feel about acknowledging Solo?
Oh, well, you know, when you're the tribal chief and you're the head of the table, when you're leading that Samoan dynasty, if you will, you have to be acknowledged, correct? I mean, now there's no Roman, obviously. They need a leader who stepped up while Roman was gone. It was Solo. So should people acknowledge Solo Sikoa? He has every right to believe people should acknowledge him. As a tribal chief should. Correct?
Correct.
Now, however, with that being said, you're asking me if I will acknowledge Solo Sikoa as the tribal chief, and the answer is flat out absolutely not. You are not my tribal chief.
He's not gonna like that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, all respect to the family, respect to what you guys have built, but your enforcer, your right hand man, and your final boss can wish in one hand, shit in the other, and see what happens first. That is my promo against the bloodline right now. You are not the tribal chief.
You are with Paul Heyman. You are a Paul Heyman guy. First,
no.
It's not that this is about more. This is about more.
Yeah, this is not a Paul Heyman guy. This is a dangerous one, acknowledging the real tribal chief.
Oh, the real tribal chief.
The original tribal chief.
The original tribal chief. Man, with that logo right there.
We don't do if, ands, buts, absolutes, or bootlegs. We do the real thing.
I will say I like everything about his energy. I like his why. I like why he feels the way he feels and why he feels like people owe him that. It's different from Roman, but it's, to me, deeper than Roman's why. Because his why is that he's been promised everything and done nothing but try to show up, and people just won't. He doesn't want to listen, so people don't want to acknowledge him. And for that, he's upset because he's feel like he's done everything to earn it. Roman's was a little different because we essentially crowned him and then turned our back on him at the same time. And he just lived to be acknowledged as that, is everything that he had earned already. Solo not earning all of it, but earning his spot to being crowned next is a different kind of why when it comes to Paul Heyman and all of that other stuff. So I love the why. As for acknowledging him as the tribal chief, you know, Solo, you've brought a lot of people everyone has wanted into the business. And it is very hard to go against Jacob Fatu, man. It's very hard. But as I wear this shirt today, I gotta say, until you beat the man, you can't be the man.
And exactly.
I still acknowledge Roman Reigns as my tribal chief. I'm sorry.
We taking it all. I don't know the rest of Solo's song, but
yeah, I don't either. But that being said, if you've gotten this far, guys, we've reached our hour or just about. Why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button? I mean, it's been a great time. We've sat here for an hour, And if you've watched all the way, this far, why not take the extra step? I don't know what more we really have to do or how long you want to. I mean, there's other pods.
Yeah.
There's other pods, but you might as well subscribe if you're gonna watch it. I mean,
that way they're easy to find.
We're trying to help you out, man.
Yeah, make life a little bit easier for everybody.
A little bit easier. And if you want to follow us anywhere else, we are also on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on all streaming platforms for audio, whether it be Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Right here on YouTube if you're watching for video. And we even have a website, dangerousjobberswebsite.com. And I think that just about does it. Duke, you want to take us home?
Sure do. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Money in the Bank review. You know that over there, that was Stevie Jobber. I'm your boy, Dangerous Duke. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys stay up and make sure you guys stay blessed. But as always, remember, stay dangerous.
People have been asking me, why, Eddie, why?